இருக்காமா?
Good evening. Am I audible?
Good evening. Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Hmm,
So,
sorry to interrupt you at once. Like the last class, you told that you would share these questions. You had some interesting questions about.
oh, right. I think I shared Python one. I forgot to share CT. Did you
Okay.
mail me regarding it?
Yes.
Uh, Let me check once. I think I lost the mail. Yeah, your voice is breaking up, so can't hear you. Okay, can you try unmuting now and answering? I don't think I think there's some issue with your mic or something. Your voice is not clear.
Yes. Sorry, I think I had some internet connection problem. So
Uh, can't find your mail. Can you just resend it once?
okay, I'll resend you it.
Yeah, just send it once. I'll give it to you after the class. Okay. So today we are going to do some revision, right? So these sessions are going to be for your end term revision. So today I'm going to take revision for week 1 to 4. Next class will be 5 to 8 and then 9 to 12. Okay. So weeks 1 to 4, let's just quickly revise what are the concepts that we learned. My screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am. And I have sent you the email.
Yeah, okay. Let me check. Didn't get it.
Okay. Ah, okay. Okay. So it seemed that there was a system delivery failure from the IT Madras side. That's what they said.
Okay. Okay, do one thing. Try to send it again after some time. Maybe some domain error is happening.
But I tried to send you last time also. It made the same error. It showed me the same error. I think.
But
Why this?
some other students sent me from CT only, I think. I got their mail.
Okay. No, no. The last email went through, but today when I sent out the email, this didn't reach you. Yeah. Then it showed the error. Yeah.
Okay. Last email, can you give me your email ID once? I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
just
okay. I'll just paste it in the chat.
Mhm.
I sent you directly.
Yeah, let me check. No, see, there are no mails from this email ID. You are sending to the correct ID, no?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I'll just paste it once more. You try sending it again, okay? I'll check. Mm.
Okay, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, let me know if the PDF is visible. Yeah. Can you see it? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who are these rest of the people in the meeting? The rest of you also please try to make this interactive, okay? It's not just me speaking. At least try to unmute yourself and answer.
ma'am, I
Yeah,
sent the
okay,
email.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So first let's discuss some of the basic concepts that we have learned in weeks 1 to 4, right? So just a revision for this quick concept revision. So first week there was not much, right? We just saw what are the data sets and basic filtering using if statement, right? So conditional statements and all that is in your first week. Second week we learned iterations, right? So for each block or the while loop that we use. So these will be part of second week. Third week, so we had that three prices problem, right? It is just no new concepts till now. We are still using the same loops and if conditions and everything. And that is what we continue on to the fourth week. Uh, okay, here is syllabus. Right. So in fourth week, we had that birthday paradox with the nested iterations. So earlier in week 2, we do simple iterations. Week 4, we do nested iterations. Right. So this is basically the crux of what we have from weeks 1 to 4. From 5, we actually have that lists, dictionaries, all of that. So today we are just going to discuss questions from these 4 weeks because I think more than the theory, it will be more helpful if we do questions, right? So this is one previous year paper for qualifier. This is a good paper, so we'll solve this today. Then tomorrow's session, I think Future is probably not taking. Whoever is taking, they will take weeks 5 to 8 tomorrow. Okay.
Ma'am, and another thing, like I was going through the PYQs. So I have this an issue with the PYQ of 2023. So can we do it after this? So
Yeah,
after.
sure. Okay. So question 1, let's start. X and Y are two rows in the words data set, and we have to select the appropriate data type for each expression or item in the left column, right? This type of question can come in n term as well. Okay, so from week 1, this match the following type is pretty common. Okay, so what will be the answer? Tell me. First one line, see the left hand column A, X word is equal to Y word. What type of value will this give? If
Integer,
we are
error,
using a comparison, which one?
boolean.
Returned Boolean, right?
Boolean. Because equal to means that we are checking whether they're exactly equal or not. So if this is true, then it will return a true value. Otherwise, it will give false, right? So this type of expressions we usually find inside if statements. So this A will map to Boolean 3. Then B is saying X dot
String,
exactly equal to A. This
string.
same.
The string. Yeah.
So why should this entire expression I'm talking about, right? This entire expression. So what is the appropriate data type for the expression? I'm not saying this A.
It's a Boolean.
So this is also Boolean, right? Wherever we have comparison operator, these are all Boolean. So X part of speech. Part of speech, we know it's noun, adjective, verb. So what will that be? What is the data type of that column?
String.
Integer.
That is string, not integer. What is stored in this part of speech column? It's like noun, verb, adjective. These are the data stored, right? These are all string type. So this will map to 1. And last is letter count. This will be what?
Integer.
Integer. So it should be A and B should map to 3 and C should map to 1, D should map to 4. Let's see. Yeah, so this one, option A. 3, 3, 1, 4. Okay. Doesn't mean that just because there are 4 different data types on right hand side that everyone will find a match. Okay. Can be that it's a many to one matching. Okay. This one is saying this is from words data set. What will count represent at end of execution? Let's go through the code. Count is initially 0. Then we are iterating through all the cards in words data set. Right? Words contains what type of data? We have a single word. We have the letter count, the part of speech, and the sequence number of the card, right? So you pick up the first card. Okay, no, we haven't picked the first card yet. So while loop starts in line 2, then you assign this false value to a flag variable. After that, you pick the first card. Right, now you check in that card what is the part of speech. If it is noun, then flag will be set to true. Okay, another if condition is there. If the letter count is greater than equal to 4, then also flag will be set to true. The third condition is if flag. So this will evaluate to true when flag contains the true value. Right? So if flag is true, then count will be incremented. So what will count represent? So what are the basically you have to find out at which circumstances count will be incremented. So one thing can for every iteration we are starting with flag false. Right? So flag will be converted to true if the word is a noun or if it has letter count greater than 4 or both. Correct?
Yeah, anyone. Either one, not both.
Yeah, either or. So what happens if it is both? If
Both,
the card that you pick,
then still is a true.
yeah. So all three conditions will give flag equals to true. Either noun or letter count 4 or both together.
Yes.
So which option among these?
See,
C.
C, right? Number of words which are either nouns or have at least 4 letters or both. So weeks 1 to 4 pretty easy questions. Okay. Now this one is from sports data set. So what will count 2 represent at the end of execution? So count 1, count 2 both are initially 0. Then while table 1 has more rows, you read the first row. If the gender is female or the mathematics marks is greater than the physics marks. So if either one of these conditions or both of these conditions are true, then count 1 will be executed. When will count 2 be incremented? When none of them are true. Right. So count 1 is incremented when either is true or both are true. Count 2 is incremented when neither of them are true because it is OR condition. So
yes.
count 2 will represent what?
X gender is not female and X math is less than X physics.
Correct. So gender, basically it should be male students whose physics marks are greater than mathematics marks. So this one, I think option A. No, it's saying option B.
Yeah, it
Okay,
can be
we
greater
didn't
than
take the
equal to
equality.
equality.
Correct, correct. Equality condition also. So number of male students whose physics marks is greater than or equal to maths marks. Okay, next one, let's see. So this is library data set. Okay. So procedure by genre A. returns true if author A has written equal number of fictional and non-fictional books. So you have to choose the correct code fragment to complete this pseudocode. So and you have to assume that dataset has only two possible genres. That is, one is fictional, one is non-fictional. So only it will return true when author has written equal number of books in both genres, right? So let's see what code is given. So first count is 0. This is where we will store, okay, the value. So for some, if count remains 0 after something that happens here, then only it will return true. Okay. So we have to figure out this part. So we pick each row from the card, then rest of this part we have to figure out from the option. So our condition is that equal number of books in fiction and non-fiction. So first of all, you pass the author name as the parameter A, right? So if x dot author, the card that you have picked, okay. See, here it is mentioned in the question, author A. So A represents the author for which you have called this procedure. So if the name of the card that you have picked right now, if the author name is equal to A, then only you will do check the rest of the conditions, right? So it is checking that whether genre is fiction, then increment count 1, else decrement count. Is this true?
No, I mean, that should also be incremented by the same amount. Even if it's a non-fiction.
But if it's non-fiction and we keep incrementing, then count will not remain 0, right? We will return true only when count is 0. So what does this logic mean? That if a person has written equal, let's say he has written 5 fiction books, 5 non-fiction books. That means every time we encounter fiction, for that we will increment the count, and every time we encounter non-fiction, we will decrement the count. So if they're equal numbers, then it will be 0 at the end. Right?
So shouldn't it be like in the second line, if we do this, like if X genre equal to fiction and X genre equal to non-fiction as well, so count equal to count plus 1. So that
So
would be
that will give you what? That will give you the number of fiction or non-fiction books he has written. But that's not what we are trying to find. We are trying to find that if he has written equal number of fiction, non-fiction or not.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. So
Mhm.
if he has written equal number in both genres, then if we increment in case of fiction, then we will decrement also the same number of times in case of non-fiction. That's why the increment decrement logic. I mean, here in case of fiction, you can also write non-fiction. Okay, for any of the genres, just increment the count, and for the other genre, you decrement the count. So if at the end count remains 0, that means we know that we have both same number of books from both genres. Is it clear?
Yes,
Should I
ma'am.
take an example or clear for everyone?
Yeah, maybe can you take an example?
See, let's say some author, okay, and just some XYZ author. Now this person has written 5 fiction and 5 non-fiction. So according to our question, this Y genre, this procedure should return true, right? If he has equal number of books in both. So when will it return true? If count is 0, that is given in the code. So count has to remain 0. Now if I take this code, for example, this snippet, then every time the author name, the card that I pick, the author name is XYZ, every time I find a match, I will check whether that book or that card is for a fiction book or not. If it is for a fiction book, then I will increment by 1. And else part means we are assuming that there are only two genres, fiction, non-fiction. So if it is not fiction, then it is definitely non-fiction. In that case, we will decrement count. So if he has written 5, right, 5 in each category, then let's say I find the first fiction book, 5 fiction books. So at that point, count will be incremented 5 times. So count will be 5. After that, when you find 5 non-fiction books, then count will be decremented 5 times and it will again go back to 0. So that's the only way of proving, right, that there are equal books in both genres.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. So count will remain 0, then we will return true. If count is, let's say, -1 or some negative value or some positive value, means there is some genre in which he has written more books or less books than the others. Okay. Now, let's say if this person only wrote 5 fiction books and 4 non-fiction books, in that case, count will be incremented 5 times, but decremented only 4 times. right? In that case, we will return false, not true. I think this is the correct code. Yeah, the second one is so wrong. And here a plus is missing. This is saying if author is equal to A, then only you increment count. And then again for fiction, you increment again. This is wrong. Don't need to increment twice, right? This should be a nested. If author is A, then only we check the rest of the conditions. So
Yeah,
this part
yeah.
should be nested. And then option D is saying if author A, genre fiction, then you directly return true or false. This is definitely wrong. Nowhere we are checking the equality. So option A is the answer. Is this option clear for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. This is from Olympics dataset. So here again you have to find out what is count representing. So assume that every player has a distinct name. Okay, that's the hint. So initially count is 0. And you pick a card from Olympics dataset. You read it, move it to table 2. Set flag to false. Okay, so flag is initially false for every outer while loop iteration. Now there are nested iterations here. In line 6, there is an inner while loop. So you pick one more card, okay, from the same data set. And you again read it. Now you compare the names of the two cards. Okay. So if the names match in both cards, then you check that whether the sports also match. Okay. If the sports also match, and one more condition is the medals don't match. Then you set flag to true. Okay, what does this represent, these two lines? What data do we understand from this? That we pick two cards whose names match, who also play the same sports, but who don't have the same medals, right? Only for those people, we are going to set flag to true. Okay, in this Olympics data set, I think there are different cards for the same player also, right?
Yes, there's this sequence number that whether he has won a gold and other medals and
Right.
so on.
So that is different cards for same player. So yeah, so that's what we will check. So flag will be set to true if all these conditions are true, and then we will move this second card we picked to table 2 again. Okay, so this if inner if will end here and the outer if will end here. And the else condition is what? So if the outer if condition fails, that is the names are different in two cards. In that case, you directly move the second card to table 3. So if the names match, only then we will check. Okay, otherwise not. And lastly, what is given? So this while loop is closing here. Inner while loop is closing here. So after the inner while closes, so what is happening in the inner while? Once we pick an X card from the outer while, that X card will be compared with every other card in the dataset in this inner while, right? And these conditions will be checked. So at the end, if flag is true, okay, then we come to line 18. If flag, at this point, if flag is true, then count will be incremented. So what does this whole thing mean? Now remember, after every outer while iteration, that is once this X card has been compared with every Y card, then we do the second iteration, pick the next X, and again flag is set to false. So flag is initially false. Flag will only be true when we find such a card where this all these conditions satisfy. The names match, the sports match, but the medals don't match.
So it counts the number of players who have won the who have don't won the same medal and belong to the same sports category and also with the same name.
But they are saying what? That every player has a distinct name. So no two players will have the same name, right?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
what does this condition mean? It means that there are definitely multiple cards which point to the same player. That's the only explanation. Because if every player has a distinct name, then we will never find a match between two different players, right?
Right. So this part will always be set to false.
Yeah. So this will be false if, see, let's check the options once. So number of players who have won different medals in the same sport.
Yes.
Number of players who have won same medal, to no. Number of players who have won different medals in same number of pairs of players. Okay.
Okay.
So they're saying this one is the correct one. That is number of players who have won different medals in the same sport. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Na? It will be number of players only, because it cannot be a pair of players, because two players don't have the same name. That will never happen. That means for every player, okay, there are different cards for the same player. Let's say some person has won uh, gold in cricket. Okay, and that same person has won silver in cricket as well. Okay. So for that person, there are two different cards, one for the gold medal, one for the silver medal. So let's say the X card you pick is the card where that person has won gold in cricket. So at the same time, when you do the comparison, you will find that corresponding Y card where the same person has won silver in cricket. So there only these conditions will satisfy. The names will match, the sports will match, but the medals will not match. Okay. For them only the flag will be set to
Ma'am,
true.
doubt, no, why ma'am the pair of number of pairs of players will not come? Because it represent X dot name equal to Y dot name, no?
Hmm. But see,
So,
what is given in the question, that every player has a distinct name.
so each
So
place
this,
have different name, right?
yeah. So this condition is only true for the same player having two different cards.
Okay.
Okay. So a pair of players means what? Two different players. For them, the name will never match. Names are
Hmm.
distinct for all players. So that means what? That if a player, let's say, has played cricket and he has won a gold in cricket and a silver in cricket, that means he has two cards allotted to him. So same name of the player, same everything, except the medals are different. Right? That means, what does this signify? That the same player has won different medals in the same sport. So how many such players are there who have won different medals in the same sport? That's what we're comparing here.
Okay. Then the loop itself, the conditions becomes false, is right? Because it represent if X dot name equal to Y dot name. So this
Yeah, I
conditions.
mean, let's say you take the first card out, the person's name is something XYZ, that is the X card. Okay. Let's say this card you pick, the person's name is something XYZ. Then you come into the inner while and you are going through all the rest of the cards, right? So some
Hmm.
Y card you pick, there the player's name is ABC. So at that point, the name won't match, nothing else you need to check. When will you check? When you find another card where the name is again XYZ. So these XYZ, this is the same person,
Hmm.
right? And once this condition is satisfied, then you go into the nested if and check whether these two cards are for the same sport or not. That means this person has played the same sport and won different medals. Okay, once he won a gold in cricket, again he won a silver in cricket. So for them, the flag will be set to true. Okay. And at the end of the iterations, the inner while iterations, we'll check if the flag is set to true, then we'll increment count by one. So this signifies what? The number of such people that are there who have won different medals in the same sport.
Madam, here actually uh, I understood the point actually. Here the
Hmm.
initially X is more, for example, row number 4. After reading the
Hmm.
card, first card, it's moved to the table 2. And in row 12, Y is moved to table 2.
Hmm.
If the while loop here, if no, so then else statement when it will come. So here there are
This else
same,
statement you're saying, this one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this will come when the player names are different. When you have picked two cards for two different players, not the same player.
So that will be removed from the
Yeah, that we won't
search.
compare. Yeah, that will be
Mm,
removed.
mm.
Okay. Both cases it will be removed. So in case we find the match we are looking for, that the same player who has played the same sport and won different medals in that case those cards will be moved to table 2, and if there are different players then it will be moved to table 3. Now why this is what we are doing, because
Then
once we have found the match, then we don't need to restore those cards back, right, as duplicates.
yeah, then the X the that X card when it will move to table 3. So
X card is moving to table 2. Okay.
okay,
Why this is moving to table 2? Okay, understand this. Let's say first card I pick, which is X. for some player XYZ. Right?
Mm.
Now we come to the nested while. Nested while, we are comparing this X card with every other Y card, with every other card in the while. Right? Now there will be some cards where the name will match, because for a single player there are multiple cards.
Mm.
Okay. So where the name matches, there we will check whether the sport also matches and whether the
Mm.
medals are different. If this condition is true, then flag is set to true. Then we will move the corresponding Y card to table 2. X card is already moved to table 2. Now Y is also moved to table 2. Why? Because these are cards of the same player. So
Mm.
future iterations, we don't need to check for these, which are from the same player.
Then
Okay.
again we need to take from the table 1.
We'll again restore everything from table 3. Because see, all the other cards that are for different players, they are moved to table 3.
Mm.
So after we check the flag and increment the counts, we move all rows from table 3 back to table 1. Because now
Okay.
you're at this point, your table 1 is empty. Everything has gone to table 3.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Clear for everyone?
Yes.
Any doubt?
No,
Okay.
one doubt, ma'am. If there is if number of pairs means how will be condition will be there?
So number of pairs of player, if we want to check. So name cannot be a condition there, right? Because names are distinct for players. So you cannot check using name. In that case, if you want to find pairs like that of different, let's say in my question, I want to find out how many number of such pairs of players are there who have played the same sport but won different medals. In that case, you just change this condition to not equal to.
Oh, okay.
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 So that will give number of pairs.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. This is again from library dataset. So assume that there are m books with distinct names that are written by n authors. Okay, so every book is distinct and written by n authors, and each book is written by only one author. Okay, that means this is not a one-to-one mapping, but this can be a many-to-one mapping, right? Between books and authors. So one author might have written multiple books, but a book has to be written by exactly one author. Because m and n, nowhere it is said that these are equal or anything, right? So n might be smaller than m also. Let's say there are 5 books and 4 authors, right? In that case, if every book is written by exactly one author, then in the best case also, at least one author should have written 2 books, right? So mapping is not one-to-one, it is many-to-one. Now you have to assume that every author also has a distinct name. Okay, so out of these n authors, everyone has a distinct name. What do we need to find out at the end of execution? Choose the correct option. Okay, let's understand the code then what is saying. So count 1 and count 0 are initially, count 1, count 2 both are initially 0. Now we pick one card, read it, move it to table 2. And immediately you are incrementing count 1. So what does this mean? What is count 1 representing? In library dataset, one card has what information? What does the card represent?
Books.
Book with the genre name and everything.
Book and author name, genre, everything, right? So for every distinct book, there is a distinct card, correct? So what does this mean? If I pick a book and I immediately increment count, so count will represent what? Number of books.
Right.
Okay, now you pick one more book or one more card in the nested iteration. Okay, so for every book, we are going to check through every other book because there are nested iterations here. So I picked some book XYZ. Okay. And then here, when I come to the nested iteration, I again pick some book ABC. So then you match the author name for both these books. Okay. So author name is matched. Then if author name matches, then you increment count 2 by 1. Okay. So count 2 is incremented only when author name matches, and then you move it to table 2. If author name does not match, then you move the corresponding this Y card to table 3. So what does count 1 and count 2 represent here? So there are M books with distinct names, right? That means count 1 should be M. For every book, I am incrementing count 1 regardless. Is this correct?
Yes.
Count 2 should represent what?
Which are written by both X and author Y.
So count 2 is checking whether X and Y, both books have the same author.
Yeah.
Right. That means pairs of books which have same author. That's what is count 2 representing. See. Count 1 should be M, right? So count 2 should be what? M minus N or M plus N? Now, how do we understand that? Count 2 is getting incremented every time we find a pair.
Yeah,
Right.
then M plus N is countable.
Why should it be plus?
Because we have author plus one book now. So one author plus one book.
No. Count 2 you're saying is going to be M plus N.
Yeah.
So let's take for one book. Okay. For one book, if I find another book that has the same author, I'm incrementing count. So like this, I might have for M such book. I might find a pair. So where is this extra N coming from? Why am I adding this N? N is what? N means that number of author.
For authors.
The N comes
Right.
from the
And
next
every
if
author
statement.
is also distinct. N comes from?
The if statement, right?
No, author. Number of authors. That the books written
N
by
is what? N is number of authors.
Yeah.
authors.
Right. Wait, let me just check one thing. A and C. So it should, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It should be M minus N. Okay, let's try to understand this in a
Yeah,
better
so
way.
it says that count 1 is N and not M.
Wait, it is saying count 1 is N.
N.
How is count 1 N if every card, that means every card represents an author? Let's take the library dataset once.
Every card will be the most likely book, and book contains the author.
That's what I was also thinking. But for every book, if you are incrementing, then count 1 should be M, right? Oh, right. I see. Understood. Because why it shouldn't be? Because I think since we are moving those cards, na, for whom we are finding matches, we are already moving them to table 2. So when you go for the outer iteration, table 1 doesn't have that many M number of cards anymore. Right? Every card represents a book only. Okay, let's say M is, let's take some example. Let's say M is 10, N is let's say 8. Okay, so this is distinct book, this is distinct authors. And every book is written by one author. So one book if I pick, okay. So at this point, first book I have picked. Now I go into the while loop. So what does this mean? If there are 10 books and if there are 8 authors and every book is written by just one author, that means there are some books for whom the author is same. This much is clear, right?
Yes.
Because lesser number of authors. So obviously one author has at least written more than one book. Okay. So
Yes.
once we pick a book from the outer this while loop, okay, one book we pick. Then in the inner while, we are comparing the author of that book with the author of every other book in the set. So obviously we will find some match, right, between the authors, because we are sure that one author at least has written more than one book. So wherever we find the match, we are removing those immediately from table 1. That Y card is removed, right? So when we again go for the outer iteration, that Y card is now not in the set. So for example, if I say that in this case where we have taken M10 and N8, okay, let's say 7 of these authors have written 7 distinct books out of these 10. And one author has written 3 books. That is possible? 7 authors have written 7 books. Okay. And one author has written 3 books. Is this mapping possible? Possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this way, if we try to do it, that means, let's say I pick a book at the first iteration that is written by this author. Okay. Then when I go for the inner iteration, I will find 2 other matches of books which are written by the same author.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say this author has written 3 books ABC. So this A book is my first X. X is A. Then when I go into inner while, I'll find B and C as 2 other matches which are written by the same author. So in both cases, count will be incremented. And these 2 cards will be removed from the data set. So we are never checking for this particular author again. Now do you understand? When count 2 is getting incremented.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So we never check for the same books because then
We never check for the same author.
we don't check for the same author. Yes.
Yeah. So only one book when we are picking, we are immediately catching all the other matches with the same author. So those matches are removed. So for that author, only that one iteration is enough. One inner while iteration. Right. Now, when you go for the next iteration in the outer while, now let's say out of these 7 books, you are picking one book because these 3 are now gone. They are all sent to table 2. So now out of these 7 books, you will pick one by one, and obviously none of the matches will be found because these are all distinct books written by distinct authors. So what is count 2? Will count 2 be incremented for any of these books?
No.
Then count 2 should be what? Count 2 is m minus n. That is 2 in our case. 10 minus 8. Why? Because count 2 was incremented only twice. When x was a and y was b and c. In these 2 circumstances, only count 2 was incremented. Should I explain this again, this part?
Yes.
Madam, now
Okay.
it's 3 books are there now, then count 2 will be incremented
Twice.
right? So then count 2 equal to 2, right?
Yeah. That is m minus n. But count 1 is what?
Count 1 is number of books.
Count 1 is n. That means 8. Why? Because for B and C, these 2 books, we will never find an outer iteration for these 2 books because as soon as we encountered them in the while loop, inner while, we removed them and sent them to table 2, right? So for books B and C, these 2 books, there will be no outer while iteration.
Mm.
So outer while number of iterations is 8 only, which is n. Okay, let me just discuss this one more time. So always this type of question, just take just take an example like this. Okay. Take something as M and N. Okay. So I took that there are 10 distinct books and 8 distinct authors. So from this, what I can say is that there is at least one author who has written more than one book. This much is okay?
Hmm.
3.
Yes.
If 7 distinct authors write 7 distinct books, then how many books are left? 3. And one author is left. So this is one possible mapping that 7 authors wrote 7 books and one author wrote 3 books. So total n is still 8, total m is still 10. Is this mapping possible?
Yeah.
Now check when count 1 and count 2 are getting incremented. Okay, so I am calling these 3 books as A, B and C. So this author has written 3 books A, B, C. So let's say for the first outer while iteration, I pick an X card, which is for the A book. Okay, as soon as I pick it, count 1 is incremented. So count 1 is now 1. Now I go for the inner while iteration. Inner while iterate how many times?
B and C.
Inner while loop will iterate how many times?
2 times.
Twice, right?
Is it just twice?
No. It will be, iterate over a number of books.
Currently, since we have 10 books in our example, one book we have
Hmm.
already picked. So how many books remaining? 9.
9.
So the inner while will iterate 9 times. Out of those 9 iterations, how many will check this condition?
3.
Two only.
Only for books B and C, it will find the same author.
Yeah.
So count 2 will be incremented how many times? 2 times.
Two times.
So count 2 becomes 2. Okay. Count 1 is still 1. Now
Yes,
you
yes.
go for the outer iteration again. Pick one more book. That book is now something out of these 7 distinct books. Because these 3 we have already done. So now how many iterations of this will be there? Of the outer while? How many times will the outer while iterate?
One time only.
One time.
No, outer while. Outer, this one.
So outer while will be
8 times, right?
How many books are there in our set currently? After
Set.
ABC are sent,
7, right?
Acha,
7 books are left.
Yeah.
So how many
Yes.
times will outer while iterate?
8.
7 times.
Total
7
7
more
plus 1,
times.
8.
So total is
Yes.
8 times. So 8 is our n, and count 2 is what? M minus n.
Madam, 7 only is there. No, how you are telling 8 actually?
So you won't count the first iteration that you did for A book.
Okay, say okay. Then 7, 1 is we read and we are keeping for a day. Then remaining 6 only, no?
No. See, A book is kept taken first, right? For that once count 1 is incremented. Then I find matches with B and C, so B and C
Okay,
I
okay.
remove from the
You are
set.
telling incrementing the things, right? So
Yeah,
incrementing
yeah.
means then 1 plus 7, 8 will come. Okay.
Yeah. So count 1 is representing what? It will go 8 times. So 8 times it will increment, which is equal to our n. And count 2 is m minus n. Clear?
Yes.
Anyone who has doubt in this question, ask. Okay. So these
one
two.
is understood. Actually, m minus 1 only is quite confusing actually. So
This one.
yeah. So
Look, this is how you can understand why is this m minus n. Because if there are some books which are written by the same author, right? For those books, only the count 2 is getting incremented. It will not get incremented for those books which have no other matches. So how many times will such comparisons happen which give a true value? That is m minus n times. That is m number of books minus n number of authors. Why? See, if there are 10 books and if there are 8 authors, right? Then what is the case? That there are 2 books which will find a match with some third book. In this example, A is that book which finds matches with B and C. Okay, so only for this case count will be incremented. No, for no other books count will be incremented.
Yeah.
So once when A is compared with B, once when A is compared with C, then only count 2 is incremented.
Yeah.
Okay. So this type of question, better you take an example like this. Just assume some value for M and N. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now this one. This represents, so this is from scores dataset. At the end of execution, A captures the number of students who are either male from Bangalore or have scored lower marks in physics than the average physics marks in the entire class. Okay, so you have to assume that the variable average stores the value of average physics marks of entire class, but pseudocode may have some mistakes. Okay. So what is our condition? That A should capture number of students who are either male from Bangalore or have scored lower marks in physics. Okay. So I think one condition should have both of these, that is gender should be checked and city should be checked in one if statement, and in another if statement we should check the marks. Right, there we are not concerned with gender or city, just the marks. So if either of this is true, only then. Okay, only then A is incremented. So code is doing what? First of all, in this type of questions, you know that all the statements that are not in the options are free of errors. So which statements are in the options? line 1, 5, and 11. Okay. First, let's check if any of these have errors. So let's go through the code. A is initially 0. Now you pick one card. Okay, some student's card. C and D are assumed to be false. Once every iteration starts, C and D are assigned false. Now you check the gender. If it is male, now is this condition correct? Should it be or?
No, ma'am, it should be and, right? We are
That
taking
means,
male from Bangalore.
right. So gender, male, city, Bangalore, they are giving an or statement here, and if any of one of them is true, then C is set to true. Then again, they're saying if physics marks is less than average physics marks, right? This condition is correct. And then if this follows, then D will be set to true. Right. And then they're saying if C and D, that means C and D both have to be true, then A will be incremented.
C or D should be
So
true.
what our question is saying is that or any one of the conditions should be satisfied. Right. But does or include both also?
Yes, ma'am. The first checking that gender and city is correct, whereas the another if condition which checks for no C and no F, D is wrong. Should be
Why
checked
is
whether no C
this
or
statement, is it correct you're saying? Line 5.
It's a male and Bangalore. So R should not come.
Right. So
Okay,
line 5
line is correct.
definitely this one has some error, but why is line 11 having error?
Because it's saying or here is and written. That's why line 11 is
So
incorrect.
this one should be or.
Yes.
Right. Either one of them is true, then also it should pick. Okay. So
So
or
line
involves
5 is line 5
line
is
5 is
incorrect
correct.
or is correct?
no, incorrect. Both line 5,
How?
line 11, both are incorrect. Because
How 5 is incorrect?
what is the condition you are set to check? You check either the student is male and from Bangalore or has scored lower marks in physics. So male and from Bangalore. So here we are having male or from Bangalore. Right, both should be satisfied.
Either male from Bangalore, it means it should be male and Bangalore.
Yeah,
From
like
city.
this is
Okay,
whole
yes.
condition.
Yes.
You are either male
Got
from.
it. Got it.
So this line is also false, this line is also false. Now remember, when we say or, it should include everything, right? Or is kind of like a union. That means it will take those students who are male from Bangalore, it will take those students who have scored less in physics than average, and it will also take those students for whom both the conditions are true. Male from Bangalore and have physics marks less than average. For them also this should give true. Right? Because or statement. Or truth table is what? For 1, 0 it will give 1, for 0, 1 it will give 1, for 1, 1 also it will give 1. Only for 0, 0 the statement is false. That is if none of these conditions satisfy.
Yes, clear now.
Understood? Okay. So both of these options are correct. Now question 8. Now this pseudocode is executed again from course dataset. At the end of execution, count captures the number of pairs of students who are of the same gender or are from the same city but not both. Now this is an or condition where it is specifically said that both should not be true. In the previous question, that specification was not mentioned. That means if both are true, then also we were assuming it to be true only. Right? But here in this or statement, then if I write the truth table for or here, right? So it should be what? For 0, 0, it should give 0. For 0, 1, it should give 1. For 1, 0, it should give 1. And for 1, 1 also, it should give 0. Correct? So either one of the conditions is true, then only it will be captured in count. If both are true, then it will not be captured. If neither are true, then also it will not be captured.
Ma'am, 1 should be 1, right?
In usual or statement, it is. But here an extra condition is
Okay.
mentioned, but not both.
Okay.
Okay, that's why if both are there, that means it will not be counted.
Okay, so it's not of 1 and 1. Okay.
So count of first count is assigned 0. Okay, what do we have to find? Complete the pseudocode. So this find pair, just this code we need to find. So you will read, that means if we have to compare, that means nested iteration is required. So you pick one card here, read it, move it to table 2, then pick one more card here in the nested while. Okay. So nested while will iterate as many times as there are rows in table 1. So X and Y two cards you have picked. Now read that second card also, move it to table 3. Now in count plus find pair XY. So both of these cards are passed through this procedure now, which will check the condition. So inside this procedure, what should be the code? Basically, it should check if X dot gender is equal to Y dot gender. This should be one condition, who are of the same gender or are from the same city, right? Either this should be true or what should be true? X dot city is equal to Y dot city.
Yeah.
Any one of these should be true. So see which option is doing that. It is saying find pair. First option, A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0. Then second line is checking the gender or the town city. Okay. Or statement. And then A is incremented. That means if any one of them is true, then A is getting incremented. And second one we see, if both are true, then B is getting incremented. So basically this one will give the union, this one will give the intersection. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, this circle, if this represents same city and this represents same gender, then this part will represent both conditions which are true, same gender and same city. So the entire thing is covered in the union here. And only the intersection part is covered in the second if statement. So if I take intersection out from union, what is left? Just this part and this part, not the middle section. See, if this is union, okay, which is your or statement. If you take the intersection out of it, then what is left? Either this condition is true or this condition is true, but both are not true at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. So the whole thing is A and the intersection part is B. So A minus B will give us our required condition, right? That either one is true, not at the same time both are true. So according to me, this should be a correct answer. Let's check the other options also. So will this be true? Second option, C.
No.
If you do A minus B here, then it is doing intersection minus union, which is nothing. That's a null set, right? Because union contains intersection. So this set will not give a correct answer. Third is A and B are initially false. If gender matches, A is set to true. If town city matches, B is set to true. And we are checking or condition between these two. That means A and not B. So if A is true, then true, and so we need to root out those cases where A and B are both true, right? So if A and B are both true, in that case, this will be true and false. Not of true is false, or false and true. So both of these will evaluate to false only because of the and statements. False or false will generate what? False only.
False.
So return 0. So
But
is
here
this
it's
code correct?
returning 1. No.
Should it return 1 if both are true?
Yes, but it's returning 1 in line number 9, despite it's false.
See, both are giving false and there is an or statement. That means it won't return 1. False or false is false.
Yes, it won't return, yes.
Okay. So it will return 0 for that case where both A and B are true.
Right.
Now it will return true for all other cases. Okay, let's check if both are false. In that case also it will return 0. It will return true only when one is true, one is false.
If both are false, then true,
Then also you are
false,
doing this
and
true and false,
it's
true
end
and
of
false.
and operation, so it will always false.
Yeah. So this option is correct or not? Be confident, this is correct. Why won't it be correct? We just rooted out the two cases that we need to root out. One case is what? Where both are true, that shouldn't return 1, and one case is that where both are false, that shouldn't return 1. So we checked both. If both are true, then also it is returning 0. If both are false, then also it is returning 0. That
So
means it's
either one
correct
of
option.
false will return the one.
Yes, now see, if you want to check
Yes,
that.
yes. Got
So
yeah,
if,
yeah, got it.
okay.
Only there will be only 4 conditions. So both are true, both are
Yeah.
false, either true, either false. So
So
in
if
both
there
condition,
is
two
a true
condition we
false,
already checked.
hmm.
Yeah.
So if you have a true
So,
false or a false true, one of these will return true. And in OR, one true is enough for the entire thing to be true.
sure.
Okay. So this option is also correct. Now there is just a variation of this. Okay, here they have just messed up the and OR statement, so this will not give correct answer. So A and C are the answers. Is this one clear for everyone?
Yes, now it's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If anyone has doubt, please ask. Okay. Question 9. So two words are said to be conjugate. Yeah, this type of question is very common. So if two words are said to be conjugate when they fulfill 3 conditions. They're different words, number of vowels are same, number of consonants are same, but words are different, right? So for a row X in the words data set, assume that vowel count, this V count is vowel count, returns the number of vowels in X word. At the end of execution, count stores the number of conjugate pairs. We have to again choose the correct code fragment. Okay. So what are our conditions? One is that two words X and Y have to be different. Vowel count has to match, right? And consonant count, how we can check? Just letter count minus vowel count, right? That is the consonant count, that will also match. If all 3 matches, then only we can call it a pair, conjugate pair. So initially count is 0, count will count such pairs. So then you go through one card in the words data set, read it, move it to table 2. Then inner iteration. Again, every time you do comparison, do an inner iteration, nested iteration. So now you pick card X outer iteration, card Y inner iteration. This part of the code we have to pick, right? So remember our conditions. First, X word should not be equal to Y word. Okay. This is okay. Once this is satisfied, then we can check the rest. Is the letter count same? So if same number of vowels and same number of consonants are there, then letter count should be same in both, right? That means if
Yes,
equal
yes.
letter count, that is what we are going to check. Only then we will check the vowel count. If letter count is equal, then only check the vowel count, because it is given in question both vowel and consonant counts are same. Okay. So if a word has,
Madam,
let's say,
in case some cases uh, maybe contra will be there, right? So maybe vowel maybe one word having 3 and consonants 3. Sorry, consonant 4. Another one is a vowel 4 and then consonant 3. Like that
yeah,
also is
but the
possible.
letter count is fine. So letter count will be equal, but then one more nested if statement. Here we are checking the vowel count.
Okay.
If that doesn't match, then we won't increment.
Okay.
All 3 have to match in case if we want to increment count. So is this option correct?
Yes.
Looks correct only. See the other ones. This is saying if words are equal, then you are checking. This first line only you can say it's wrong. Words should not be equal.
Right.
Here it is word is not equal. You are checking the vowel count first. Okay. And then instead of checking the, like, how can we check consonant count? Just minus the vowel count from each letter count. Rest of it is
Right.
consonant only. If that matches, then you increment count. This is also correct.
Yes.
Can you
Option
repeat
D.
Can you
Yeah,
repeat
this one is,
C options? Okay.
see, if two words are not same, okay. So this
Okay.
first one will evaluate to true. Now, if both words have same vowel count, then second if also evaluates to true. Now you have to check the consonant count also. So from total letter count, if you minus the vowel count, rest is consonant.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So consonant count matches, then you increment count.
Okay, Bhargav.
Okay, option D, it is saying if words are same, then you exit. Don't do anything. Else, you check the letter count, check the vowel count, and increment by 1. So is this correct?
Yes, correct.
D also correct.
Should be correct. No, it is not correct. Okay. What is wrong? Exit loop we cannot do. See,
Yes, if we will exit the loop,
if I
then the
exit
rest
this
will not
loop,
be checked.
then the
Yeah,
rest,
yeah.
the rest of the inner iterations will not be performed. Right. So even if there are some pairs, we will not find that for the particular X card. So exit loop is not the right statement. You can break. That is break that
Break the loop.
particular
Yes,
iteration.
yes, yes.
Okay. So instead of here, if we
Yeah,
had a break statement, then it would be correct.
basically, we are ending the program itself.
Right.
What
No.
is, what,
When
what
you
is
do,
break statement actually?
see, there are two different types of statements, break and exit. When you use a break statement, it breaks out of the current iteration, but it will continue with the rest of the loop iterations. But when you do exit statement, it exits the entire loop. Okay, won't run any more iterations. So exit loop means it will exit out of this inner while and go for the next outer while iteration. But break means that particular iteration will be stopped and start the next iteration. So if we used break here, if we found one Y card for which the word is matching, that means word matching, we don't need to check any other criteria. So you can just break out of that iteration, continue with the next iteration where you pick a different Y card. Okay, but exit will not work. Clear? Why this is not correct? Should we take the next one?
Yes, madam. Yes.
This break exit statement you will work with when you go to Python. So the following pseudocode is executed using dataset similar to the words, not exactly the same, based on the following paragraph. So read the paragraph. Now the code that is given, it is asking what would be the value of count at the end of execution. Assume that upper and lower case are ignored during comparison of letters, not case sensitive. So what it is doing, initially count is 0, flag is true. So while table 1 has more cards, now you pick a card. Here every card contains what? A word from this paragraph, right? So you pick the first card, read it, move it to table 2. If flag, this means if flag is true, then only the if statement will execute. So initially flag is set to true. First iteration flag is true at this point. So fine, you go into the nested if. It checks what? First letter of the word is C, not case sensitive. So is first letter of the word T here for the first word?
Yes.
If it is T, then check if the second letter is H. Is it H? Yes.
Yeah.
So then increment count. Okay. This is the inner if closing, this is the outer if, and this is this if. So all ifs close here. Then you set flag to false. Okay. And then if X word ends with a full stop, then only flag will be set to true. So when is flag set to true? At the end of every sentence. Right? At the end of every sentence only flag will be set to true.
Right.
But flag will be set to false when?
At the beginning or otherwise of the sentence.
At the first only. See, let's say I reach the end of this sentence. Okay. So at this point, yesterday is the last word which ends with a full stop, flag is set to true. Now you go for the next iteration, there is the word. Okay. So here also you check everything. Now flag is true at this point. You check whether it starts with P, second letter is H, fine, increment count. After that, flag is anyway set to false. So after every first word of the sentence, flag is set to false. And it is again set to true when the last letter is reached. Right? So how many times is count getting incremented? It will only get incremented that many times, as many times there are words in the sentences, at the beginning of the sentences, that start with P and A. The first word in the sentence needs to be start with P and A in this order, in order for us to increment count.
Madam, here once after first word iteration, then flag will be false. Then again the
Correct.
if loop will not continue, right?
It will not continue. No. For
Okay.
all the other words, if flag will be false until we reach
Yeah.
the last word.
Then last word only it will be this flag
Again
is
set
set
to
to
true.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So only for the first word of the sentence, all these conditions will be checked.
okay. So the TH will be only the first word. How many words?
Yeah,
In
only the first word.
first word and how many sentences?
Yeah, how many such sentences are there that start with a word which starts with th? So
Mm,
just check that first sentence has this, second sentence, third sentence, fourth sentence starts with I. So that will not increment the count. Fifth sentence also starts with I. So count will be incremented only 3 times for the first 3 sentences. Let's check once. Yeah, count is 3. Okay, tell me who didn't understand this. What part? Everyone got it?
we move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, that line 12, can I repeat, ma'am? Line 12 and the flag equal to false, how it
So flag equals to false will execute without any condition. For every while iteration, flag is set to false. Right?
okay.
So only flag will be set to true when we reach the end of a sentence. X word ends with a full stop. So when we reach the last word, then flag will be set to true. And for the next iteration, that is first word of the next sentence, for that the flag will remain true. Then again it will be set to false for the rest of the words in that sentence.
Okay, once that letter reached in the flag will become false, is right? Then after end of this full stop, the flag will become true.
Yeah, so flag remains true only for the first word of the next sentence.
Okay. The starting of next sentence, right?
Right. Okay. This one. So what would be the value of result at the end of execution of the following pseudocode if the value of n is 7? So these are NAT questions. You just have to do the dry run. So I is 1, result 1 is 1, result 2 is 1, result is 1. So how many times will this loop iterate? See, I is starting with 1. N is saying 7. Now, for every iteration, result 1 is equal to result 1 into I, and result 2 is equal to result 2 into I plus 1. Now, I is incremented by how much? 2 times in each iteration. So, first iteration, I starts, let's just map it. First iteration, I is 1. I is initially 1. All the variables are 1 initially. Now, first iteration, I is 1, N is 7. That means I less than N condition holds. What is result 1?
1.
1 into 1. That is 1. What is result 2? Initially,
One,
result 2 is 1
1 into
into
1
1
2.
and
into 2.
into 2.
So this is 2. Now I is incremented by 2 times. So I becomes 3. Second iteration, I is 3 and still. So condition satisfied. What is result 1?
3,
1 into
3,
3. That is 3. What is result 2? 2 into
3,
3 into
4,
4. So 24. What is I?
5,
5. Third iteration, I is 5. N is still 7. I less than N satisfies. Result 1 is how much?
3,
5, 5,
3 into 5.
3 into
Take the previous
4
value,
into
right?
10. Yeah,
Result 1 was 3. So 3
yeah.
into current I, which is 5. 3 into 5, 15.
Mhm.
Result 2. What was result 2 before? 24.
24. 24 into
24
5
into
into
5 into
6.
6. So this is 120 into 6, that is 720. Okay. What is I now?
7.
Will there be any more iterations?
No.
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 7 less than 7? No. So we'll come out of the loop. Result is result 2 by result 1. So what is result 2? 720. What is result 1? 15.
15.
So can we cancel it? Yes, 15 4 is 60, 120, 15 8 is 120, 48 answer. Got it? Everyone clear?
Yes, madam.
Question 12 is following pseudocode is executed using words dataset. What do we have to find? Let there be two data sets stored in table 1 and table 2 corresponding to the following sentences. Okay. So, one second. Words dataset, but table 1 and table 2 contain words from these two sentences. If you are honest with your work, one is just a compliment and this one. Okay. What will do something table 1, table 2 return? Assume the uppercase and lowercase are again ignored. Okay. So just take it this way that like we have word data set, right? So similarly, these are just two tables. Think of these as two tables from the word data set. Table 1 contains cards with each of the words from this sentence. Table 2 contains cards with each of the words from this sentence. Right? Everything else is same. So do something is a procedure in which we put these two tables as parameter. We pass these as parameter. So now we have to find out what this do something procedure returns. That is, it returns count. So what does count represent? Right. So count is initially 0. Now while loop, we are going to iterate through the rows of table 1. Okay. Read the first row. While from table 1. What is the first row? If. Okay, first word. Then again read the first row Z from table 2. What is the first row in table 2? Again if. First word. Check if the words are same. So in this case, words are same. Count is incremented. If words are not same, then directly return count. Okay. So at any point, if we find that words are not matching between the two sentences, we can directly return and not continue with this code anymore. Okay. So in the first case, first iteration, we saw that it matched increment count by 1. So then move the row Y to table 1, 1, move row Z to table 2, 2. That means once we have checked two cards from each table, we are going to move them to separate tables, not check them again. So next iteration, now you pick the second card from table 1, that is U. Again, second card from table 2, that is U. So how many such matches are there? How many words will match before two words don't match? If will match, you will match, R will match, honest will match, with will match, your will match, work will match, the will match. Money progress will not match. So how many matches did we find? 8 matches. How many times will count be incremented?
8 times.
So what is count representing? Now check
Number
the
of common words between the two sentences.
correspondingly common, right? No, at the exact same places. It's not like the
Yes.
first word of table 1 and third word of table 2. Table 1 first word, table 2 first word, like this. So at the end, count should be 8 here, right? 8 matches we'll find. So your answer is 8. This one is clear?
No.
Yeah. Any question?
No.
Now 13 and 14 are comprehension type questions. Okay. That means one data for both questions. So the following pseudocode is from sports dataset. Let variables f, m, f250 and m250 represent the following things. F represents what? Number of female students in the dataset. M represents number of male students in the dataset. F250, this variable represents number of female students with total marks greater than 250. And M250 is just the same for male, total marks greater than 250, number of such males. So let's work out the code first, then we'll see the question. So A0, B0 initially. Table 1 has more rows. This is a scores data set. So you pick the first card. Flag is set to false for every iteration. If the gender of the card is female, okay, and total is greater than 250. If both conditions are true, then flag is set to true at this point. Then in line 10, you check if not flag. So when will not flag return true? When flag is
False.
false. If it is false, then only it will return true. So if we find such a card where the gender is female, but the total is not greater than 250, in that case, flag will remain false, right? So if not flag, that means if not false, true, then A is incremented. Then you check if total is 250, then B is incremented. So basically, what is A and what is B?
So A is indicating all the female students who have scored less than or equal to 250.
Female
And
students who have scored less than or equal to 250. Okay, tell me one thing. If gender was male, then also flag will not be true.
yes, because then this, yeah, sure.
Okay. So there are two ways that flags can be false. Either the
Yeah.
gender is male or the marks is greater than equal to 250 or both.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So in all three cases, not flag will be true. A will be incremented when three scenarios. Gender male, total less than equal to 250, both. Okay. For all three cases, A will be incremented. B will be incremented when? For this specific case, when the total is greater than 250. That means if total is greater than 250, then which cases can I cancel out here? This case and this case.
Yes, and third case, yes.
That means gender male. So B represents what? Number of male students who have scored greater than 250 marks.
Yeah, right.
And A will represent what?
A can
Number of male students who have scored. I mean, three things can be there. That either it is the student is male or they have scored less than equal to 250 or both. All of that should be represented by A. Do you agree?
Now, see, if you, the first if loop understood, it's filtering only the female.
Hmm.
If if already the flag is set false, and 10th row if you are coming means either male or female, then it will be a true statement only, right? Then the A will be incremented again. We don't know it's a male or female, right? Here.
If flag is false, okay, then A will be incremented. Now flag can be false in three cases, each of these cases.
But it will be suitable for a female also, right?
Yeah, it will
What?
be suitable for those females also who have scored less than equal to 250.
What? No.
See, if a student, if a female has scored less than equal to 250, then will flag be set to true? Gender is female, but will this condition satisfy? No.
Okay.
Female less than equal to 250. For this also flag remains false. So they will also be counted in A.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are actually one more condition. This condition also is there.
Yeah.
Okay. So either it can be a male, it can be
female
a
less than
person.
250, right? Less than 250.
So it can be basically male or female, as long as the score is less than equal to 250. For both of these cases, flag will remain false. Okay. And even in that case, if gender is male and total is less than equal to 250, if both of these are true, then also flag remains false. Okay. So let's see what the question is asking. What will be the value of A at the end of execution? A should be what? Now we have to represent A in terms of these variables that are given. Okay, so what have we understood? That A will be incremented when, well, let's write down properly. Okay, first case is that gender, male or female, but marks is less than equal to 250. Right? In that case, flag will remain false and A will be incremented.
Yes.
Second, one more case can be what? Gender male, but marks greater than 250. For this also flag will be false, right? Because the outer if condition is invalidated. Another thing can be what? Anything else we are missing?
Gender female, but less than or equal to 250 that we have already included.
Yeah. I think everything is, this is everything, I think. See, female only one case is there. If gender is female, then only one case, that if marks is less than 250, then flag remains false. But for male, there are two cases. Either it marks is less than equal to 250 or marks is greater than 250. We don't care as long as it's a male.
But
So
but
these
the
two.
sorry to interrupt, but the first if condition
Hmm.
nowhere increment, right? Either A or B.
Which one? This line 5.
For the first if condition, there is after this if condition satisfies, no increment in A and B, right? That is only for the flag only set to true.
This one is only for flag. Okay.
Yeah, only for
Increment
flag.
is in the this second.
Yeah. So even if it is more than female and more than 250, flag is true means then second one also it will be execute. Not true means okay. Second one it won't execute. Then
As long as
then
flag is false.
yeah.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
A will be incremented.
Yeah. So then the first that first if condition, if it is satisfied also, if it is satisfied, so no increment will happen in A and B.
Yeah, if the entire flag evaluates to true, that means female and greater than 250 marks, then flag will be true, not a flag will be false. So A and B, nothing will be incremented.
Yeah,
Only
madam.
incrementation happens when?
Yeah, so correct. So here increment only happen in that second
If
if
flag is
condition,
false.
second if condition only. Even though if they are filtering F and greater than 250 also, nothing will happen in the count of A and B.
Here the
If
most
it is
important thing is the flag. Okay, so if
yeah,
flag is true, that means if when will flag be true? If both conditions are true, female and greater than 250 score, then only flag will be true. If flag is true, then A or B, nothing will be incremented. A or B, for A or B to be incremented, flag has to be false first.
false only.
So we are trying to find the cases where flag will be false. So these are the cases that I noted, right?
Yeah.
So if
Yes.
gender is male or female, but marks is less than equal to 250, then flag will be false. Another case is if gender is male, but marks is greater than 250, then also flag will be false. So we have to find how many such people are there that constitute these two cases. So that is your A. Okay, that many times A is incremented. So let's find out total number of, so basically does this mean that all males, for all males flag will be false?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the number of male students? M. And what is the number of female students whose marks are less than equal to 250? F minus F250. Is this correct? F is total number of females. Okay. We need to find number of females whose marks are less than equal to 250. So just subtract this number of females whose marks are greater than 250 from the entire female set. F minus F250 plus male. This should give A, I think. Let's see. This option C. Is this clear? Why this happened? F minus F250. Tell me which part is confusing. Tell me. I'll explain again.
Yeah, got it, madam. So you're only greater than 250. So you are considered as a F250. F is a entire female. In this less than or equal to 250.
So we have to
we
subtract
need
the greater
we
than
need to
250.
subtract.
That's
Yeah,
it.
we need to subtract. That's it.
M, that is total number of males plus this number of females. That is your A. Right? Everyone agrees with this?
Yes, ma'am.
So now let's find what is B. Similarly, try to express B in this format. So B is incremented when? First of all, this has to be true, right? Out of this set, now we are doing one more filtering, which is total should be greater than 250. That means who should go?
And gender M should be greater than 250, right?
That means we are first of all getting rid of those females who have scored above 250. So the only scope for people to score above 250 is males. Right? Because if females scored above 250, then flag would have been true. So only males can score above 250. And they will be counted in B. So how many such males are there who have scored above 250? M250.
Yeah, M250.
So B should be M250 itself. Let's see. Yeah, M250. Got it, na everyone? Why it is M250?
Yes.
This is a very good question. Yeah, that's the end of the paper. So this is why I picked this paper. See, it is very different type of questions, no, from what we have done till now. Very good paper. So you try to solve this paper on your own once, okay? Don't.
Which period, madam? This question.
This is 2023 Jan term, quiz 1.
Jan. Okay.
Okay. Now, yeah, someone was saying you had some doubt in a question.
No,
You can
this one
share.
this one end time or this one, madam?
Quiz 1 qualifier.
Oh, it's not end time, huh? Okay.
No. We are just revising week 1 to 4, no? So I took a quiz 1 paper.
Okay. So, but we can we if try only the end time paper?
There also you'll find weeks 1 to 4 questions, but there you have to find which ones
No,
are
I
from 1 to
understood.
4.
What I'm asking, is it sufficient or not? That's why I'm asking. For only the end time question paper, if we are solving now for
Yeah,
practice,
fine.
it's
No
okay,
problem.
right?
Yeah.
No, can I
In
share
term
the
also
paper?
only you can. Yeah, share it. Okay, if others don't have questions, you can leave. Okay, that's it. If you have any
Uh,
doubt, you can post. I can take it now.
Madam, I have just one question, not related to the this one. These codes are is only for the Python, madam, or we can use it for us.
These codes are all pseudo codes. Okay, so they are not for any programming language. These are just pseudo codes. You can convert this into any programming language code you want, Python, C, whatever. Pseudo
For
codes
the
don't run.
for this procedure and those things I just I'm thinking I seen in the VB and also maybe it will be useful for VB also,
VB is what?
Visual Basic.
Okay, Visual Basic. Yeah. That's a very old language, right? Do people still use that? Yeah,
No,
some places it is used.
for
No.
Excel and all we are doing
In
macro, right? So that's why I'm
Okay.
asking.
in Visual Basic it won't be used. In Visual Basic only
No, in
you
that
write
case
this
you
text.
cannot use this. Yeah.
In if you will write something for the macro, then only where you can use, or in particular in any event, inside the event, if you wish to have something you write in algorithm way, then you can use this concept.
For example, Excel macros and all, right? VB macros, right?
Yes, in VB macros nowadays, in current scenario, if you will write it, pseudocode, it's not required at all, because
Yeah, pseudocode is not
all
required.
things, all things are auto-generated at this point of time. In old days when Visual Basic was launched, Visual Basic 5 and 6, and that particular time, you must have this concept in your mind so that you can write a better macro. But nowadays, in context of Visual Basic, it is not relevant. Yeah, but in context of any programming language like C, C++, Python, Ruby, Go, this is highly important.
Okay.
So that's why in
Ma'am,
CT we don't
there
have any
is
particular language.
ma'am, there is one book is called Computational Thinking that narrators by Madhavan Mukam. So, what about that book,
Yeah.
ma'am? That book, the book was clearly explain about all details, or
Yes. Computational thinking book by Madhavan sir, that is very good for this course. You can go through it if you want. It's not necessary, but yeah, it's recommended. You can.
Okay, but that books contains all the basics contents or
Everything, yeah,
this
yeah. Everything
everything
in the
up
course
to
is covered.
that should be useful for both in term 1 and 2 as well as right?
Yes, both
CT1
and
and CT2 is right?
CT only has one, right? There is no CT2.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Okay, after this you go to Python.
Okay. Oh,
Okay,
okay.
madam. I'm dropping the call, madam. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, who posted this?
Thank
Yeah,
you, ma'am.
ma'am,
Yeah,
ma'am, can we discuss question number 8, 9, and 23?
from this set. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, I can see your screen. Yeah.
8. Okay. Okay. Following pseudocode is executed using words dataset. What will A represent at the end of execution? Assume that there are more than 5 sentences in words dataset. So A is 0, snum is 0. While table 1 has more rows, snum is less than, snum is I guess sentence number, is less than 5. So read the first row. If part of speech is verb and letter count is greater than A. So A initially starts with 0, so any letter count will be greater. You assign it to A, right? Then both of these are closed. Then you check if X word ends with a full stop. So at the end of every sentence, we are going to increment snum.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. When I just work with this pseudocode, so for me, it's coming to be the letter count of the longest verb in the up to the fourth sentence of the first 4 sentences, right?
Let me
Because
check one.
yeah.
Part of speech is verb, and every time we find a greater letter count, we assign A to that. Okay. Then A is starting with 0, and snum is also starting with 0. For 0 is that is the first sentence. So we'll take the verb, and this will contain maximum letter count. Okay. And again for the next sentence will go till snum is 4. So 5 iterations will be there. And A should contain the letter count of the longest verb in the 5th sentence, no?
But it's snum is running only until 5, right?
Yeah, but snum is starting with 0, no? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There is 5 sentences.
Yeah. Okay, so you take 0 into account. Okay.
Yeah, it is starting with 0 for that reason. If it started with 1, then it will be 4 iterations.
Okay, basically here they're asking for the iterations. Okay.
Yeah, that's why snum less than 5 is given here. So every iteration you check this. Right, snum is incremented at the end of a sentence. So how many such incrementations will be allowed? 4 increments from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. And from 4 to
Right.
5, if you increment, it will invalidate.
Yes, because for then you would have required this equality condition.
Yeah, then if it was less than equal to 5, it would be okay. That would be the 6th sentence.
Okay. Now I got it.
So it will be longest, this option, letter count of longest verb in first 5 sentences.
Okay, now I got it. Why I'm wrong. Okay. Okay.
Which else? 8, 9.
Yes, ma'am, 9.
A0, B0, this is score status. Table 1 has more rows, read the first row, flag is initially false. If gender is male or physics marks is greater than 90, then flag is set to true. So not flag will be true when flag is false. There is only one condition when flag will be false. When gender is female and marks is less than 90. Correct?
Yes.
So for female and less than 90, flag will be false. If not, flag will be true. So A will be incremented. And if gender is male, first of all, B will never be incremented in that case. If flag is false, right? So for flag to be false, both conditions have to be false. B should never be incremented because gender M, there is no point in checking that. Obviously, gender is not M. That's why it is false.
Okay. When we are checking A only if this X dot gender is not it's female and
And physics is
was
less than 90.
90
Yeah.
less than equal to 90. Only
That's
then
why.
then only it would be false.
Yeah, that's the only condition when it can be false. And then A will be incremented, but B will never get incremented because gender is not M. Gender is F. That's the whole point we entered the if statement.
Yes, ma'am, that's what I didn't understand, like why they put this in the pseudo
No,
code.
no, this is wrong. I think some other condition should have been here. What is the question? What will A represent? A will represent number of female students who have scored less than equal to 90 in physics.
Yeah, in the second question, there's a question about what B
This one.
represents at the end of execution.
Yeah, here the answer should be option 3. This one, it will be 0. B will never get incremented because this condition will never satisfy, no? Gender M. The outer condition, outer if is not flag. Flag is false only when gender is F and marks are less than equal to 90. So there is no point that gender will be M.
Yes.
Gender will have never be M, so B will remain 0.
Yeah, okay. Mhm.
Okay. And 23. Okay, graph problem. Consider graph 1, can you ask in that next class? Because we did not revise now, so I don't want to do it like this.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. So
Okay.
graph 1, I think will be discussed in Monday class. Okay, I think you sir will take that one. There you can discuss this problem.
Okay, ma'am, just one question about this thing that when you do a DFS, so say here we are starting the DFS from node 4. So if we can do the DFS in the following way, right? Say, because we can have many ways to do the DFS. So the way I did the DFS was 4, then go to 2, then I'll go to 0 and 1, and then backtrack to 0, and then 3, and then 5.
Yeah, fine.
It's fine, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is one way.
Yeah, this is just one way, and because there can be many other ways, you can go to 2 and 3 and so on.
Yeah, but this spanning tree will work on this one DFS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.